We live in a moment where we do what we have to do for the people that we love. The old rules just don't apply. Now, I think a lot of folks living in 2024 would wholeheartedly agree with that statement. This is a quote from a character, Katie Bowman, in the series Colony, played by the actress Sarah Wayne Kais. Now, to my mind, having been Army intelligence, that series is as close as you're going to get to what's going to really go down when the U.S. government and the powers that be around the world decide they really want to take full control of everything. They are already in the final planning stages for the endgame moves. And I have proof of it in today's video. Some of the things I'm going to show you and share with you are going to shock a lot of you and maybe disappoint some, because there are some activities going on that a lot of people think are very patriot-oriented that are anything but. A lot of folks grew up on the idea of Red Dawn, the concept that either China or Russia or some type of an alliance come over the poles through Canada, and before we know it, we're going to be overrun, and we're going to go all run out in the woods with our ballistic weapons and our secondhand military gear, and we're going to stand up some kind of a resistance. Nothing of the sort is going to happen. Those countries know that the United States is far too large of a target, and with all of the disparate groups all across the country who are armed, it would be a fool's errand to try to do it in one fell swoop. You see, what you need to do is get these people to out themselves and let you know exactly where they are, exactly what their capabilities are, exactly what their armaments are, and what their limitations are. Now, some might say, Florida Maquis, why would anybody do that? Real simple. Ego. Now, we're going to get a little bit farther into this over at Patreon. There's other activities that are going on that I think everybody needs to know about with Army intelligence. We talked about it in another video. I'm not going to get too much into it. But the idea of coded, silent communication between civilian groups terrifies the U.S. military. And they're trying to get involved. Now, those of you who would like to watch this series and get read in on what the real details are going to be, it's not called The Colony. It's called Colony. And it's by Carlton Cuse, 3 seasons. It was originally, I believe, on USA. You can find it on DVD pretty cheap and some other streaming services. But basically the idea is this. This group of aliens sends an advance team to the world, and they infiltrate different power organizations, and they set up a human authority before their invasion. And then when they finally do decide to come in force, they drop down giant walls, and they put in place these drones to control people. They're basically just floating eyeballs that have facial recognition and ballistic weapons. And they're incredibly fast, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands of them. And they can get rid of people in a heartbeat. Now, that's the idea. Stay in line, do what you're supposed to do, or what they want you to do, and you'll be fine. Be in after a curfew. Don't be in places you're not supposed to be, and they'll just go right by you and leave you alone. Now, the idea of drones, AI controlled, with facial recognition software and ballistic weapons is not beyond our technology. Perhaps back in 14, 15, and 16 when Colony was on, some people might have thought this was pie in the sky, but not now. You see, they had other kind of drones too that were a little more, I guess maybe what you might call Star Wars oriented. They walked around on 2 robotic legs, far more powerful, far larger, covered greater distances, and they were more designed to police the wild areas. Now, you could plink and plink and plink all you wanted at these things, and your rounds would just bounce off. Now, that's not something that is out of the realm of technology either. Now, you ready for this? 4 minutes and 40 seconds in. China shows off robot, quote-unquote, dogs equipped with assault rifles, quote-unquote, intelligent equipment, has been the focus of Beijing's latest military exercises, the state broadcaster has reported. Now, there's a detail here everybody misses when they read the article. The PLA of China has demonstrated some of its most advanced military capabilities during joint drills with Cambodia scheduled to end on Thursday. The list of weapons employed by soldiers included several types of military robots, including a dog-like remotely operated device equipped with an assault rifle, quote-unquote, intelligent equipment, including all sorts of robots and unmanned aerial vehicles, were the focus of the Golden Dragon 2024 drills. Now, blah-blah-blah-blah, all this kind of stuff. Here's the part. Pay attention. Reconnaissance robot dogs weighing 33 pounds, 15 kilograms, could operate for between 2 and 4 hours, providing real-time video transmission to troops, a device operator told CCTV. The robot was shown to be capable of rapidly lying down, jumping and moving in various directions on flat terrain, planning routes, avoiding obstacles, and, of course, firing a weapon. Now, 33 pounds, meaning you could put 6 of these in an aircraft, and they would have the same weight as one actual human being. Remember the whole Red Dawn scenario thing? Where you thought it was going to be a whole bunch of Chinese or Russian actual soldiers? The ones that need fed, the ones that need clothed, the ones that need sanitation, the ones that need all the support. Guess what? They can drop 6 robot dogs for the same weight, fuel to weight, as they can one actual human. How long do you think a group like this is going to last against 6 robot dogs with assault rifles? They're going to get cut down like they're not even there. You will stand absolutely no chance. And if by some chance you disable 1, possibly 2, you've given up your position, number 1. And number 2, the other 4 are just going to report everything that happened, all their information back in real time. And they will know where to pocus without having putting a single person in harm's way. Now, here's where it gets even worse. You see, they're already going to know where to drop the dogs. Florida Maquis, what does this have to do with the tactical games? Well, I'm sure a lot of you might have heard out there's this thing going on a national scale. They're inviting people, mostly former military types, older folks, who have tried to stay in shape and, stay proficient with a weapon, because we know that day is coming, right? Well, they're inviting them now to all of these locations, giant air quotes, all over the country to go compete, to go see which one of them is the best. But in the process, what they're doing is they're gathering intelligence. See what they're doing? These guys can't help it. They train and they train and they train and they work out and they work out, and it doesn't seem like it's worth much until they can go prove it to somebody. You see, the tactical games are being presented by Under Armour. Now, those of you who take notes and pay very close attention to information will know Under Armour, they're sponsoring some patriotic tactical games. How can that be? They're woke. Under Armour mandated white employees watch anti-white diversity training videos. How many of you remember the president Biden, of course, saying that white supremacy is the greatest threat we have. Well, he would then go tell his intelligence lackeys to go start gathering information on this greatest threat, right? White America, older white America, Gen X white America. You see, what's happening right now is number 7 in Army intelligence approved interrogation techniques. So you can interrogate one individual, or you can interrogate large groups at all at one time. What's number 7? Emotional pride and ego up approach. You see, it's one of these tactics that works really, really great on the insecure and perhaps the young. You go in and you sit down with a target and you make them out to be more important than what they are, or you take their belief that they are more important than what they are, and you throw gasoline on that fire, and you get them to talk, and you get them to show off and tell you everything that they know. because they're so smart. You see, these grunts on the ground, we know more than the guys upstairs do. We're the ones on the ground. We really know what's going on. And so you like, really? Wow. Boy, I bet you have some hardcore stories to tell. And you just let them talk. Well, guess what? That's exactly what's going on with the tactical games. And you know how you can figure this out? You know, beyond the Under Armour being the sponsor? 2024 event schedule. Now, right off the bat, this is what got me down this road. February 24 and 25 of this year, Sierra Vista, Arizona. Sierra Vista, Arizona is right outside Fort Huachuca, Arizona. And guess what they teach at Fort Huachuca, Arizona? And ask me how I know. Army intelligence. Human intelligence. In fact, the United States Army Interrogator School is at Fort Huachuca, Arizona, right outside of Sierra Vista. Next stop, March 23 and 24, Holt, Florida. Hop, skip, and a jump. Hop, skip, and a jump out of Eglin Air Force Base, where they have robot dogs. How many remember that story? And you go right down the road, and you look at their map that they put on their little event site, and every single one of these places where they are inviting all sorts of patriots from all over the country to go show off their equipment. Oh, by the way, you got to bring your own weapon. Bring your own weapon, bring your own rounds, bring your own equipment so that they can see what you have to the tactical games. So that they can have a nice list of exactly who the threats are. Every single one of these blue stars is right outside of a U.S. military base. Army intelligence, Hill Air Force Base, Lackland Air Force Base, Eglin Air Force Base. Up here in New Hampshire, it's basically Blackwater Light, Ridgeline Defense, Dalton, New Hampshire. This is what's going on. Now, some might say, but what does this really have to do with this whole issue with Colony? Well, you see, one thing they did really well, the Resistance, in Colony, the series that we were talking about, is that initially they knew how to sit and have a quiet, private conversation and then shut the hell up about it. They also knew how to train quietly in basements, meet privately, and have none of anybody else's business conversation about things and leave it at that. But you see, that's not what's going on with this tactical games thing. And we're heading for this moment. Damage control. Some of us die, or all of us do. You get the honor of deciding which one of it's going to be. Now, you ready for the final nail in the coffin on this? Go watch Colony. When the aliens invade, all of a sudden, a lot of guys who've been out of the military, and look, this series was years ago, 8 years ago. All of a sudden, all of these guys who had used to be in the military, special operators, all started getting phone calls and saying, hey, we're all meeting up. We're all meeting up at this building. And we're going to get together, all of us former military types, and we're going to put together a real resistance. You know, we're going to take all of our experience and we're going to meet up at this one place and we're going to fight back, darn it. We're going to fight back. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar? See, this guy, Tory Kittles, the actor that plays the character Eric Broussard, said men who trust power tend to have short life expectancies. Well, guess what happens? When all of those former special operators and rangers and Green Berets and Marine Recon and all these guys, they all show up at this building. I believe it was an armory. They all show up at this building ready to put together their resistance, and guess what happens? That's right. They hit it. And in one fell swoop, for the, surrounding 7 zip codes, they took out every single one of these guys who could have possibly made a difference. Now, what do you think that they are doing with the tactical games? It's real simple. You have a woke company that thinks that white people are the worst thing in the world, Under Armour, and they're sponsoring intelligence activities. They're sponsoring a whole bunch of former military guys to go out, bring their own equipment, reveal it to everybody, and show off all of their skills and equipment and techniques. And there will be military guys, U.S. military guys, they're watching and taking notes. And they're going to get names, and they're going to get addresses, and they're going to get emails, and they're going to be able to identify all across this country where all of the problem zones are. And then guess what's going to happen? That's right. They'll know exactly where to drop the robot dogs. They'll know exactly who to hit, when to hit them, how to hit them, know what to expect, because they're going to have all of this information and intelligence handed over to them for free by guys with big egos and big mouths, which is pretty much a lot of the patriot groups these days. That's why you don't see me really associated with a lot of them, because they don't know how to keep a secret. They don't know how to zip it. They don't know how to keep private things private. This picture in the lower right, what's going on here is this guy is giving her handgun use training in the basement of a very loud bar. See, up above them, there's a bar. And there's all sorts of people dancing and loud music and all sorts of stuff. And there'd be no way you could even hear the rounds going off. So that nobody knew what was going on in the basement. That's how you train. This is not how you train. If you're training for an insurgency, you don't go out and give away all of your group members' names and faces and info and weapons and all this kind of stuff. Because mark my words, they're now going to know where to find you. You and your group. And they're going to know how to take you out. It's just that simple. That's how Army intelligence works. Pride and ego up. Number 7 in the basic Army interrogation manual. You find people who have huge egos, and then you give them the carrot they need to just blah, 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 everything you need to know. And you just sit back and you wait. That's why when I see all this stuff about waterboarding and all these other techniques, it's silly. It's silly. The vast majority of interrogations, the vast majority of the time, with just a little bit of mental manipulation, just a little bit, they will tell you everything you want to know and more. Because they're not guarding their minds. See, these guys can walk posts, and they can guard all sorts of beans and bullets and Band-Aids and all this kind of stuff. And they can guard that, but when it comes to their mind, it's a playground. When it comes to their mind, it's a playground. You can reach inside and get anything you want from them. Once you know which buttons to push, which levers to pull. That's what we teach over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. How to not allow your buttons to be pushed. But if I go to any of these groups, if I would go to any of these groups right now that was taking place in the tactical games, and I showed them this, they'd laugh at me. Oh, no, these guys are all patriots. These guys are all on our side. Yeah, I could even show them the map. That shows them where all of the training locations are right outside of military bases. The very first the very first event was right outside of Army Human Intelligence Headquarters. Literally right outside the front gate of Fort Huachuca, Arizona. And they still wouldn't believe me. Hill, Eglin, Lackland, all over. It's so easy to pick out what's going on. Under Armour, really. Under Armour, woke Under Armour is sponsoring Patriot games. Really? Tell me another one. So, once again, thank you everyone who's joined us at Patreon. I very much appreciate it. Making a huge difference in my life. If you would like to get this type of information on a regular basis, $1 per month. That's it. Even less if you sign up for an entire year. Fully refundable, first 90 days, no questions asked. Love to have you. God bless. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up, like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.